Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. Making this video in response to a recent clip with Cliff and his son and a fellow Orthodox Christian. I wanted to kind of pose some questions for Protestants and Cliff and his son, just to kind of think of something. I don't want to get too deep into critiques. I don't want to be critiquing somebody or be telling people what to do or whatever, because we're all fall short. All men fall short of the glory of God. So first off, let's just talk about this conversation that they had. This fellow Orthodox Christian comes up to Cliff and he presents a very valid argument of, hey, why don't you view the Eucharist as the real body and containing the real presence of Christ? Okay, same with the blood. And you might say, oh, this is, old, or this is nobody believes that anymore, or it's just symbolic. But it has valid it's a valid question, because modern people will say, oh, not everybody actually literally believe that. Nobody who would go around thinking that they would eat some man's body. And this is the real question, the real scandal, you could say, of Christianity. The thing is, Christ himself is incarnate, okay? Is Christ, man, just this metaphor, a symbol? He himself, God himself, Logos himself, becomes incarnate into a physical body. That's the same thing as the Eucharist in the blood, okay? By undermining that, by saying that it's just a metaphor or symbol, I'm not saying that one is right way or the other. I have my own personal beliefs, but I'm just trying to get you to the Protestant mind, the Western mind, to understand a little bit on what that means. That Christ is God incarnate. It's the physical, actual presence of God in an actual man. It's not some man symbolically, metaphorically being God, okay? So if that can happen, if that is what's happening, why is it wrong or stupid to think that the Eucharist is his body? That doesn't make sense. In the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread, he's not talking about actual bread. Bread means life. Bread is life. Bread is what fuels you. Bread is what gives you substance. We are saying you are the... Oh, sorry, I dropped my cap. You are the substance. You are the giver of life. Give us this day our daily substance. That is what that means, not actual bread. When you say the Lord's Prayer, do you have bread later in the day? No. Okay, so you know what these things actually mean, but yet you strip them from their actual meaning into this metaphor, symbolic, or modern rationalistic, reductionistic mindset, okay? Secondly, this is my biggest critique on every form of Protestant, any Christian in general, even myself. Who are you, genuinely, who are you to think that you or your opinion of the Bible and Scripture is greater than those of the apostles, or those who the apostles passed down the teachings to? Because this critique of the Holy Fathers, that they're just some men and they don't know anything, and that their opinion isn't the Bible, it's so stupid. How high does your ego have to be to think that your understanding in 2025 years after Christ is greater than a man in 90 AD? That doesn't make sense. Like the early church fathers, who were specifically guided by, what scriptures and teachings were passed down to from the apostles, have certain teachings and writings and ideas of what this means, what Christianity is. That's what Orthodoxy is. The Orthodox literally translates to the way. This is a way. It's not a philosophy. It's not I want to go church shop and figure out which church fits me, which one I agree with, which one emotionally feels the best. Like, even the argument itself, this, God bless this man, the man giving the Orthodox questioning, okay? Like, he's just genuinely asking a question, okay? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just genuinely asking a question, okay? I'm just genuinely making some statements. I'm not trying to say their opinion is wrong. I'm not trying to say mine opinion is right, or that some church father, whatever. I'm just trying to say what the facts are. I'm trying to say what it says, okay? What the facts, where they lay, okay? And let the facts speak for themselves, okay? Cliff's son, he doesn't even approach the conversation in a proper, truth-oriented debate, in a proper way of which you should approach a conversation. If I were to have a conversation with you, I would hope, I would pray, okay, I'm not gonna be perfect all the time, that I would come to the conversation with dropping all my presuppositions, all my assumptions, all my unconscious and conscious biases, to perhaps maybe there's something here that I don't know. Maybe there's something that for 1,054 years that every single Christian believed in the exact same thing. Maybe there's something there that I don't know because I'm in the year 2025 and all of a sudden I think I know something that those Christians all before for 1,054 years somehow just it doesn't exist anymore. There's a certain level of humbling oneself, of engaging in a dialogue, engaging in a debate. This is why I like Alex O'Connor. He's an atheist, but I like him so much because he brings himself down to this, any conversation with a Christian, to I'm going to seek the truth. I'm going to drop all my presuppositions and conscious and unconscious biases and to the best that I can, and hopefully that there's something there I can learn. There's so many times where Cliff's son is out there cutting the man off. He's out here saying that how could you believe such a thing, or in a condescending tone, like my friend, like Cliff's son doesn't even know what an Orthodox is. He's talking about the Vatican. And this is the problem with the Protestant mind. This is the problem with the Western mind, is that they don't know the literature. It's called Eastern Orthodoxy because it's in the East and we're here in the West. So of course they're not going to know. Of course you're going to ask these questions to these Protestants and they're not going to have a single idea. But you shouldn't approach a conversation with the presuppositions, with the assumption that you yourself and your own psyche are no more than what this man is saying. That's not the Christian life. The Christian life is to view every person as made in the image of God, and maybe there's something there. There is something there because they are made in the image of God that I may not know. Okay? And that is so important to understand. And that is my biggest issue with this Protestant mind, is that I suffer from still, okay, this Western mind that we, like, okay, what is the difference? How sure are you, Cliff and Cliff's son, or any Protestant, or even myself, because I'm surely guilty of this myself, how sure are you that what you deem as God, what you deem as God's will, is any different from your own psychic and biological impulses and desires? How sure are you of that? Genuinely, ask that question of yourself. How spiritually adept are you to where you can discern with proper spiritual discernment of which is the will of God and which is the will of the psyche? Or if they're even the same thing. How sure are you of that? See, these are questions that you can't just go about into a conversation and assume that you know everything, or that you assume that the reason that you're a Protestant is because you feel it in prayer. How do you know that that's not your own psychological bias? How do you know that's not your own biological impulse? Okay, so this is the whole problem with the Orthodox and Protestant, because the Orthodox is on a rise. Even I'm guilty of this. Okay, it's growing. Okay, but the way in which conversation should be approached, the way in which Protestants should approach these conversations, should approach these ideas, isn't from some scared of the church, scared of authority, scared of history that Catholicism is guilty of, but not the Orthodox. Okay, that's a huge distinction. Do your research, have some history, read some books, even read the Bible. I don't understand. I mean, it's like a Christian. You need to understand for 1,054 years, or that's the schism, but until the printing press, okay? Until the printing press and the Industrial Revolution, nobody even had a Bible. Nobody even had a Bible. So you're telling me that all those Christians who didn't have the Bible, their word, just the scriptures is what matter, are they not Christians? Okay? These are questions to ask yourself. These are questions to approach a conversation in. These are things to be conscious of. Because our Protestant and Western mindset approaches these conversations as if we have this assumption that everything that isn't this is already wrong. They exist for a reason. There's 70,000 different denominations for a reason. You need to understand that. The Catholics split for a reason. There was a schism for a reason. Whether it's right or wrong, there's still a reason. Luther created his church for a reason. You need to understand these things. You can't just approach and be like, oh, well, that's wrong. Well, what's the reasoning? Why? Okay? So I'm getting off on a tangent here, but it's really something that I've even encountered in my own life with my Protestant friends and the Protestant and Western mind in general around me, is this assumption that just because it's Orthodox or that it's old or whatever, that it's just wrong. And that's not how you approach a conversation. Just because he's trying to make some point and you're out here talking about things He's literally saying, Cliff's son literally told the young man that he doesn't even know what he's talking about when he's out here calling Orthodox Vatican. I know, like I'm not trying to judge the man. I'm not trying to be like calling him stupid or anything, but I'm just trying to show you guys that there is so much unbiases here. This is why I don't like to go on YouTube and talk about all my scriptures or religion or theology as much as I could or can, because who am I to know these things? You have to be careful. This is the temptation of the Pharisee, the temptation of the scribes, okay? But I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, and I didn't want this video to be too long. I hope you learned something from this. I hope that I've helped you become aware or conscious of some of these biases that we have been lived by, that we've been programmed by the Protestant and Western movement, okay? And just try and approach, even outside of theological or religious debate, a conversation with anybody as if there might be something here I don't know. Let's seek truth in this conversation and drop my biases and assumptions and opinions and forming the conversation to what I want to hear, okay? Or to what the people around me want to hear, and instead sacrifice the necessity for truth. Because if you believe in God, you believe in truth, okay? And if you believe in the truth, you're going to do anything to seek that and study that and let it take you where it's going to take you, because the truth, if there's truth, it's objective, all right? So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below for discussions. I would love to have more conversations on Orthodoxy and Protestantism and all this stuff, because it fascinates me deeply. But only if you guys leave comments, because who am I to talk about these things, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.